Yes.
Namaskar. At the outset, let me thank the authorities of the Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari and Vivekananda Prabodhini Mumbai for inviting me to deliver this lecture in this series of Swatantra Bharat 75. In this talk, I intend to give a brief introduction about Indian manuscripts heritage and particularly its varied form and content. We will see at first what are the manuscripts made up of and their physical appearances, their writing styles, types, forms, etc. And then we will go into the details. Let me share my presentation. Yes, I hope you can see my PPT, the first slide, Manuscripts Heritage of India. So I will be talking about uh, the manuscripts, what are they made up of, and about their form and contents. Let us begin with the tradition of writing and oral transmission and writing transmission in India. Um, as you know, in India, there were two traditions of text transmission: oral tradition and written tradition. Our manuscripts treasure is a product of a very long tradition of copying down ancient text. And it's a product of a long copying activity, which was parallel to the literary activity. So, manuscripts are copies of copies of copies of earlier manuscripts, and this tradition went on. And through this tradition, we now know, or the our ancient texts have come down to us through this tradition of thousands of years. So it's a very very long tradition. And this tradition has influenced our literary activity and developed peculiar style of Indian manuscripts that they are now. So, as you are aware, there are two means of text transmission, and in India, though oral tradition was very strong, Vedic literature has come down to us with minute details uh, and with utmost care through this oral tradition. But written tradition is also important. We don't have any concrete evidence when this written tradition began. But surely, written tradition is also a very long tradition. So, let us see the definition of manuscript. The term manuscript literally means any script or a textual matter written by hand. So it is a document bearing some cultural content produced once and for all by hand. So by hand, that means without any machine process. We have printing technology in modern days, but of course, around two centuries back, there was no printing technology. So the only way to get a text or to know a text is either by hearing, listening, or by copying it down. So if one wants a text in his possession, um, he wants to study a text, then there was only way to copy it down from earlier manuscripts. And of course, the manuscript um, as per the definition, it must bear some culturally important content, of course, and it should be produced once and for all. That means by hand, it is a kind of unique document that has been produced and that has come down to us. Again, as per the definition, this particular text or a document bearing that particular text, it is it must be old, of course, but the definition differs. Various agencies or government departments, they have different definitions, so to say. So for this branch of knowledge, which is called as manuscriptology or study of manuscript, we say that that particular handwritten document must be at least 100 years old, and uh, it is a non-archival material. Non-archival material, that is also important, because see, archival material, it is a permanent record produced for or by any government or government institution, and it records historical, I mean, the record is of historical importance, and it contains many a times correspondences, and many other things. But this is about, I mean, this is archival material. But unlike this, manuscripts, in the sense we understand it in manuscriptology, manuscripts are non-archival material. I mean, they mostly, usually, they bear texts, ancient Sanskrit, Prakrit, or texts available in any Indian classical language, so to say, or regional languages. So these manuscripts bear various kinds of, I mean, text, literature. For example, even Vedic texts were written down at some point of time, and so we have manuscripts of Vedas, Upanishads, and Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and even Ayurveda. And there are many, of course, canons of Jainas or Buddhist literature in Prakrit and Pali languages, respectively. So, all these texts and this literature has come down to us through these manuscripts. So, these are considered as non archival material. And to put it in the words of Professor V.S. Sukhtankar, who was the first general editor of the critical edition of the Mahabharata, which has been produced by the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, he said once about the Mahabharata that it is our collective unconscious. And I'm going to apply these terms to the manuscript heritage as well. So, manuscripts are our collective unconscious, so to say. And it is our past that has prolonged itself into the present. Professor Sukhtankar said this about the Mahabharata. So, these are his words. It has prolonged itself, and I mean, he has used the word prolonged, not just culminated or resulted, but this is our past that has prolonged itself into the present. So, this manuscript heritage contains our past, and very important past. And if we, I mean, lose this treasure, and these loss of manuscripts would be like a national suicide. And of course, these words were spoken by Professor Suktankar about the Mahabharata, but they are completely applicable to this manuscript heritage as well. So it is our collective unconscious, it is our past that has prolonged itself into the present, and it would be a national suicide if we neglect this treasure. Let us see some numbers, some statistical data. It is just an estimate. The number of manuscripts in India, it is estimated that it can be around 2 crores 50 lakhs or more than that. Indian manuscripts in Asia, that could be 2,75,000. Of course, there are manuscripts outside India, today's India, and there are many manuscripts, Indian manuscripts in Europe as well. So the number must be 1,80,000. These are just estimates. That could be more than that. Then the language-wise estimation, out of the entire manuscript treasure found in the world, around 67% of the manuscripts are in Sanskrit. Then 25% of manuscripts are in other Indian languages, in Indian regional languages. And about 8% manuscripts are Arabic, Persian, or Tibetan, likewise. So before we understand the manuscripts, or before we see some examples of manuscripts and how to read the manuscripts, we must understand that there are two tools of writing, script and language. So symbols that represent language is called script. So these two tools are very much important, and they are different. I mean, sometimes people get confused in script and language. For example, English is written in Roman script or modern Latin alphabet, but for Marathi or Hindi, we use for these languages generally Devanagari script. But of course, when we text, sometimes we even use Roman script for writing Marathi, Hindi, etc. So as you can see, the last line of this slide, this script is not Roman. So the language is English, but the script is Devanagari. So script and language, they are two different things. So the manuscripts are found in a variety of scripts, Indian manuscripts, Nagari, Sharada, Simhalis. If we go to south, Tamil, Grantha, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, Tigrari, Tulu, Vatteluttu. Then in the eastern part, Bangla, Udiya, Maithili. In North India, or the northern side, Nepal, etc. So Nevari, Ranjana, Tibetan. These are the scripts found over there. And in western part, of course, Devanagari is there. Most of the manuscripts are found in Devanagari, particularly written in northern India and in western India as well. So they are mostly in Devanagari, but very rarely Modi is used for writing manuscripts. But in Modi script, we find archival material. That means documents or correspondence, letters, etc. They are written in Modi script, which is a kind of running script. But otherwise, for writing Ramayana, Mahabharata, and such texts, Balbodh, what we call in Marathi, That means Devanagari, simple Devanagari is mostly used. So just to get an overview, medium of manuscripts. Manuscripts are mostly written on paper. I mean, the that we have today. And if we go to southern India, most of the manuscripts are written using palm leaves. Then in northern part, particularly in Kashmir, birch bark manuscripts are found. And languages used or found in manuscripts, ancient manuscripts, Sanskrit, various types of Prakrits, medieval Indian languages, Persian, Arabic, Urdu, and even Avestan. And scripts, various forms of scripts, we have seen some of the names. And of course, various regional Indian scripts are also there, like Kannada. Uh, and scripts like Pahlavi, etc., are also found in manuscripts, particularly manuscripts of Avesta uh, are written in that script. So, various languages, various scripts, and the medium. That means uh, palm leaf, birch bark, and paper. But before going to the manuscripts, I mean the various types and material, let us see just difference between printed book and manuscript. So it is produced without any machine process. So the copying is by hand, and whereas printed book is used by is produced by using machines. So the printed book has exact and multiple copies, whereas every single manuscript is unique in itself. So, like our fingerprints, every person has unique fingerprint. Uh, Likewise, every manuscript is unique because it carries the features or traits of that particular scribe who has copied it down. So, printed books have exact and multiple copies, but every manuscript, even if it is of the same text, like for example, manuscripts of Mahabharata, there are thousands and thousands manuscripts of Mahabharata, but every manuscript of that particular text is unique in itself because of its uh, various style, formatting, and the traits of the scribe. When a printed book is different in orientation, style, format, and manuscripts, particularly Indian manuscripts, are different in these respects. We are going to see in short while. Uh, then folios are numbered in respect of manuscripts. I mean, for printed books, we usually found that pages are numbered. But with regard to manuscripts, folios are numbered. That means every single leaf is numbered as one. Uh, that means both the sides are not numbered. Only one side. The first page or the second page, the reverse side, is numbered. Any, for example, I have written this in Roman script, of course, in an English language. Writing is continuous, no space between words, no running hand or joint letters. So, similarly, and this is an example, uh, likewise, there are no spaces left in between the words. And mostly, Indian manuscripts are not bound together like modern printed books. So folios are not stitched together, and of course they are of uniform size like this. So you can see over here the folios are separate, they are not stitched together, and they are of uniform size. This is a palm leaf manuscript, and it is incised with a stylus, and the leaves are cut in uniform size, and then the text is engraved on these palm leaves. So three mediums are there: palm leaf, birch bark, that means bark of a birch tree. This birch tree, usually it is found in hilly area in northern Himalayan regions. We call it bhurja in Sanskrit, and or bhoja vriksha. So it is a bark of that bhurja tree or birch tree, and it is um, I mean, it is customized, and it is prepared for writing, and generally it looks like a book, uh, and it is written with pen, and not, of course, the birch bark is very thin since it is a bark, so it is very thin, and we cannot engrave on it like palm leaf, but uh, the matter is written with pen. So, palm leaves are oblong in nature. Of course, they are leaves of palm tree. A cord is passed through the leaves to put them together. I mean, the manuscripts are not bound, but a cord is passed through each and every leaf through a hole, and these leaves are kept together. And their palm leaves, either they are found incised or written with pen. Both methods are there. Then I talked about birch bark and paper. Paper, of course, paper came India. Um, it is said that it came to India around 9th or 10th century, and then it came into vogue, and it was popular, became popular. But till then, palm leaf tradition was very strong, and because of this palm leaf tradition, paper manuscripts are also we find in oblong size, and uh, made as per the style of the palm leaves. But of course, mostly no cord is passed through paper because it is thin, more thinner than passed many a times. And paper is, of course, written with pen. So this is an example of palm leaf which is incised or engraved. And you can see the hole in the leaf, and through which a cord is passed, and the leaves are kept together. This is another example. This is also, we have seen this picture. And these palm leaves, three leaves are there in this picture, and these leaves are thinner in size because of the different variety of palm. This palm, this type of palm tree has a very long leaf and thin inside, thin. Its thickness is very less. So these palm leaves are painted. We usually find these type of uh, painted palm leaves in Western India. And whereas in southern India, you will find palm leaves incised. These are two folios from a birch bark manuscript. This manuscript, particular manuscript, is deposited at the Bhandarkar Institute, and it is a manuscript of Rigveda, and this has been entered in the UNESCO's Register of Memory of the World. So this is very important manuscript, a birch bark manuscript of Rigveda, and it has been procured from Kashmir. So as I said, palm leaf style influenced paper manuscript as well. So palm leaf style of copying, uh, it continued in paper as well. So this is a paper manuscript, but you can see the middle portion has been left blank for making holes and for passing cord. This is another manuscript, and similarly, in between, space is left blank for hole, but of course there is no hole over here, and no cord is passed. But the palm leaf tradition is continued in paper as well. This picture we have seen, this is also a paper manuscript. And these are just examples of various writing styles and various forms of manuscript. So you can see there are portrait oriented and landscape style manuscripts are also there. So these are various sizes of manuscripts found in various shapes, sizes, and various script. This particular manuscript is very interesting. We found this manuscript in a very small village. We have seen it. I mean, it is probably still there. A team of BORI, Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, in 2006, we went to Parbhani. There is a small village called Daitne in Parbhani district. There is in a temple, this manuscript is there. It is a Tukaram Gatha, manuscript of Tukaram Gatha, and you can notice the size of the letters. I mean, there are huge letters written in huge letters, and you can see there are people. So perhaps it was written in huge letters because if anyone is rendering or teaching, or if there is a kirtana or pravachana, the person who is doing that, who is chanting, he must be able to read the manuscript even while he is standing. So he's standing and the manuscript is kept there, and he will be able to read that. So for that purpose, this manuscript has been written in bold and very huge size letters. I have tried to maximize zoom, but it's blur. But you can guess the size of the manuscript. This is a world map, but of course, not modern world map. It is a map made according to the cosmology or cosmological ideas of the Jainas. So it is a Jain concept of world, and it has been depicted over here in this map. And I must tell you, this map is at least 3 feet long, 3 feet wide, so 3 feet by 3 feet. That is the size of this map. So in manuscripts, we also find various types of decorations, illuminations, borders are colored. There are various types of design. It depends on the contents and subject of the manuscript of that particular text. Then marginal lines are many a times ruled in red ink. Punctuation marks are marked in red pigment. Then there are accent marks in Vedic text. As you know, Vedas have accents. So Vedic texts have accent marks, and these accent marks are many a times written in different type of ink, in red pigment or something like that. And colophon, the last part of the manuscript, which gives the name of that particular text, that part is called colophon or pushpika. So this colophon is many a times highlighted by using red ink. Then, depending on the subject and content, varieties of designs are also we find that decorative designs, graphs, figures, various type of thematic line works, and even various illustrations or small drawings, charts, etc. So let us see some examples. This is a palm leaf manuscript, and it is beautifully illuminated. Just one leaf is there. Then these are four leaves, palm leaves, from a palm leaf manuscript written in Odia script. This is again deposited at the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute's manuscript library. And this particular manuscript written in Odia script, it demonstrates or describes various types of chitrakavya bandhas, a particular type of chitras or pictures, and a particular type of poetry which goes with this chitrakavya or chitrakavya bandhas. So various types of these have been illustrated over here in this manuscript. Again, from the same manuscript. And this is a paper manuscript, a Jain manuscript. But you must be wondering why this space has been left blank. Because this manuscript is not complete. This is in making. And this is the reason why the space is left blank, because in many Jaina manuscript, you will find such beautiful pictures depicting various Tirthankaras delivering lecture. So this particular picture is from a manuscript of Jaina text called Jiva Jiva Bhigama Sutra. And of course, it is not there in this manuscript because it is not complete. And you can see the colors, various colors, and the glittering yellow seen over here is actual gold. So even actual gold and silver were used as pigments. Then this particular portion, I have enlarged it. This particular portion is from a manuscript of Shivalila Amruta. And this manuscript of Shivalila Amruta is not complete, fortunately or unfortunately. But because of that, we can come to know about various stages of writing of a manuscript. So here, even space is left blank, but the scribe for the painter to paint what he want here. I mean, the picture, the scene that he wants to be depicted in the picture. So he says, Brahmadeva Naradasi Sange Rudra Mahima Purna. So here the scribe wants the painter to draw picture of Brahmadeva and Narada Muni. So that's why this space has been left blank, and there is an instruction by the scribe, but unfortunately there is no painting. This is another folio from the same manuscript of Shivalila Amruta. And here you can see another stage of writing of that manuscript. Here we can see that there is a picture, but it is not complete. We can see the background colors, but the details are still to be uh, made over here. So the detailing is not there. So the picture is incomplete. And this is a complete picture from the same manuscript. So this manuscript is actually very beautifully and profusely illustrated. So we can see that famous story of Mahashivratri. A scene from that story has been illustrated over here. This illustration is, of course, from a very different manuscript. You can guess you can see the different styles of picture. This is, in this picture, Krishna is, displaying his Vishwarupa to Arjuna. So, this particular person on the right hand side, he is Arjuna, and the other one is, of course, Krishna in his entire form, the Vishwarupa. But this manuscript is very tiny one, and as you can see, there is no much space for detailing and for these all these heads to be in a single row. So there are five heads and below, and five heads on the above. So likewise, the painter has, there are restrictions of space for him, but this is not the case here in this particular manuscript. Uh, this is the same scene. Krishna displaying or showing his Vishwarupa to Arjuna, but here painter has depicted it in different style. And you can see on for the border lines, actual gold has been used to decorate the border of the page. This is a picture of Varaha incarnation of Vishnu, and this comes from a Persian manuscript. You can see the line, Persian, written in Persian script. It is a Persian translation of Bhagavat Purana. This manuscript is also from the collection of the Bhandarkar Institute. And here you can see Varaha saving the Mother Earth, which she is in form of a cow, and he is lifting her up. So this is a Varaha incarnation from a Persian manuscript, a Persian translation of Bhagavata Purana. And this is from Sanskrit Bhagavata Purana. You can see the same picture, the same scene has been illustrated in a different way. Varaha incarnation again. These two pictures are from a very tiny manuscript of Bhagavad Gita, and you can see here Krishna and here Arjuna, and there is also, Arjuna Uvacha. So the painter has drawn the picture of Arjuna, and very tiny and very beautiful manuscript of Bhagavad Gita. This is again from the same Persian manuscript of Bhagavata Purana, and you can see the picture of Krishna lifting Govardhana mountain. This particular picture is from a very important manuscript of Bhagavat Purana, Sanskrit Bhagavat Purana. It is again from the collection of the Bhandarkar Institute. This particular manuscript was written in 1648 CE at Udaipur. It has four skandhas, four parts of Bhagavad Purana. Just, I mean 4 adhyayas, but not the entire Bhagavad Purana. But this manuscript is very important because of the pictures. It consists only just 4 skandhas are there, but it consists 128 beautiful illustrations. The illustrations are painted in that particular Rajasthani style or school of painting. And this particular scene is of Samudra Manthana, churning of ocean. And you can see on one side there are gods, and on the other side there are demons. So gods and demons, they are churning the ocean. The famous story from the Bhagavata Purana, it has been illustrated over here. The name of the scribe of this particular manuscript is Jaswanta Bhattaraka, and the painter, uh, his name was Sahabuddin or Shahabuddin. So perhaps a Muslim painter has painted these very beautiful illustrations in this manuscript of Bhagavad Puran. Again, the same story of churning of ocean, but a different manuscript. And you can see again gods and demons churning ocean over here. And these are all gems coming out of Samudra Manthana. So these are various types of layouts and designs. Beautifully calligraphed manuscripts are also there. Various charts, tables, etc. are also found in various manuscripts. This manuscript, actually, this is a single long scroll. Uh, in this picture, you can see 2 sides of that scroll, but this is a single scroll. It is a horoscope dating 1772, but we don't know whose horoscope is this. I mean, certain part has been lost, but the important thing is it is 38 feet in length. So if we open the entire scroll, it is 38 feet in length. This is again a Persian manuscript, Tarifi Hussain Shahi, depicting a scene, a battle scene perhaps. This is again a picture from the Shivalila Amruta manuscript, the complete picture from the Shivalila Amruta manuscript. So, what are the essentials for reading a manuscript? There are 4: script, language, but those are not enough to be able to read a manuscript. You must know the subject as well, because sometimes the handwriting must be obscure, or it is not very good, and it can be difficult to identify the letters. In that case, you must know the subject for identifying the letters and for reading the manuscript. And of course, for that, practice is essential. So let us see in brief what are the typical parts of a manuscript. It has a title page, then salutation or benediction. Uh, it follows, of course, by the main text, the title of the text, and then the main text. Then there are certain abbreviations used to mark the full use. Then pagination and colophon is an important part of the manuscript. Let us see these parts quickly. So, some quick examples. Title page. This is a page of a manuscript of Rishta Rishta Prakarana. So, we find here written over here, Atha Rishta Rishta Prakarana Prarambhoyam Samullasati. and Shri Gajana Prasannostu, etc. So, very few lines apart from title are written on the title page. Generally, only title is found on the first page. And when we turn the page, the manuscript, actual manuscript, it begins with salutation. So over here we can see salutation to Lord Ganesha, Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. So mostly manuscript begin with this benediction. Many a times we find salutation for the favorite deity, so favorite deity of that particular scribe, perhaps. It is also there sometimes, or salutations, namaskaram to Guru are found. So, for example, in this second picture, you can see Namah Shri Vagdevyai. So, salutations or benediction for the towards the goddess of speech, Vagdevyai. So, perhaps this must be a manuscript containing some grammatical treatise. So that's why goddess of speech has been invoked. And in the first picture, you can also notice that this salutation follows the title of the text, Atharishtadhyaye Nirupyate, and then follows the entire text. So this is again another example, Om Namo Ganeshaya, Shri Bhavanyai Namaha, etc., and then follows the text. And there are peculiar types or modes of copying text and commentary. Uh, Particularly, they can be classified into four types. Uh, in the first, entire text is followed by entire commentary. So, if of course, if the manuscript has the commentary as well, then these types are possible. Entire text is followed by entire commentary, or one verse or few lines of text are followed by the relevant commentary on those few lines, or text is written in between or middle of the page, and commentary is written above or below that particular text. So this particular type of manuscript is called as Tripathi manuscript. Then the fourth type is the text or a few lines from the text are written in the center, in the middle of the page, and commentary is written on four sides of that text, above, below, and either of the sides. And this particular type is called Panchapathi manuscript because it has five sections. I mean, text in the middle, and on the four sides, commentary is there. So this is an example of Tripathi manuscript. So you can see the text is written in large size letters in the middle, and in small letters you will find above and below the text commentary has been written. So iti Shri Bhaskariya Siddhanta Shiromanau Lilavati Sadnyake Pati Ganite Anka Pashadhyaya Samaptaha Sampurneyam Leelavati. So this is a manuscript or a folio from a manuscript of Leelavati of Bhaskaracharya. This is an example of Panchapathi manuscript. So you can see text is written in the middle, and commentary has been written on four sides. Then, while reading manuscripts, you must know or understand certain abbreviations. Particularly in margins, you can notice title of the text has been written in abridged form or in abbreviation. So it is the same manuscript of Rishtadhyaya, and you can see Ri-dhya. So it is abbreviation of the title of the text. And many a times sectional headings or adhyayas are also, the names of the adhyayas are also written in the margins. For example, if the manuscript is of Mahabharata, and there is Adi Parva, that is the first Parvan of the Mahabharata. So you will find in the margin letters written as Adi or Adi Parva, or just abbreviation Adi. So that means these folios belong to the Adi Parvan of the Mahabharata. And then you can also notice the um, page numbers. So as I said earlier, pagination is done only for, leaf, the entire leaf, and not for each and every side or page. So this one is the first folio of this manuscript. So that's why number one. And then Ganesha is just, perhaps it is the favorite deity of that scribe. Many times you will find Rama and Krishna and other such deities mentioned over there. This is again a folio from the Shiva Leela Amruta manuscript, and you will find Shiva Leela Amruta and the abbreviation Shi Li. And number 40 denotes the folio number. Then, as I said, colophon is a very important part for studying manuscript because it gives information about the manuscript, the text, the scribe, the author, and many other things. So, let us see. Of course, there are very simple colophons as well, which just give the title of the text. But then there are many a times adhyayas have been noted, the name of the author. It follows many a times with a name of the scribe. And if scribe is willing, he also gives the title of the author, lineage, his guru, um, etc. So this information is also there, found in many colophons. Scribe also gives his own title, lineage, name of his guru, etc., or name of his parents, and place where the author has composed the text or the scribe has copied down the text. Then there are mention of patron, the person who has commissioned the manuscript. Such illustrated manuscripts, we have seen some examples. So, such illustrated manuscripts are many a times commissioned by uh, king or a rich person, or royal patronage is essential for such beautifully decorated manuscripts. So, scribe many a times also gives or writes name of that particular patron. Then date of the manuscript. Tithi is noted in the colophon, and that's why we can tell exactly on which date, on which tithi that particular manuscript has been copied, or the copying process was completed. Then the number of verses contained in that particular text. Many a times, purpose is also written. So, scribe writes like, I am writing this, I am copying out this for the benefit of my son, or for the benefit of my guru, for his pathanartham, for his reading. So, purpose is also sometimes mentioned in the colophon. Then it ends with certain salutations. Shri Krishnarpanamastu, etc., etc. Shubham Bhavatu, etc. So, this is an example of a simple colophon, and it reads Iti Kathaka Laugakshi Sutre Arshadhyaya Samaptaha. So this is just a simple colophon which only gives a title of the text, Laugakshi Sutre Arshadhyaya. Of course, the name of the adhyaya is also given over there. This particular manuscript also gives the name of the commentator in its colophon. Iti padavakya pramanajna महोपाध्याय भट्टनाथ विरचितायाम आनंद सुंदरी नाम सट्टक व्याख्यायाम चतुर्थम यवनिकांतरम and Sampurnamidam Vyakhyanam. So this is a manuscript of which also possess commentary on the Sattaka, that is a Prakrut drama called Ananda Sundari. So this is a manuscript of Ananda Sundari drama, Prakrut drama, and a commentary is written by Bhattanath. And this Bhattanath has title Mahopadhyaya. And he is also well versed in Pada Shastra and Vakya Shastra. So Pada Vakya Pramanajna. So he is well versed in grammar and Nyaya as well. So it tells us more about the commentator, uh, and of course, the title of the text is also there. So we have seen this last page from the manuscript of Leelavati. And this particular manuscript is the oldest dated paper manuscript from the collection of the Bhandarkar Institute, and it dates back to 1320 CE. So here the date is mentioned. I have marked this, highlighted this. Samvat 1376 Varse Laukika Phalguna Shuddhi, that means Shuddha 13. So this manuscript was written on 13th day of the bright half of the month of Phalguna, and the Samvat was 1376. That means it comes to 1320 CE. And this is a paper manuscript, of course, and if we do the calculations with the help of ephemeris, this comes to this is 13th day of Falguna, and it corresponds with 8th March. It was a Saturday, the 8th March, 1320 AD. So we can also, of course, do these calculations and we can arrive at the modern date of writing of these manuscripts. So it was written on 8th of March, 1320. So the dates or tithis, the Samvat, I mean the year found in the manuscript are of mainly two types, either Shaka Samvat or Samvat, that means Vikrama Samvat. So Shaka era, if Shaka era is mentioned, then we have to add year 78. Add 78 more years to the Shaka era to arrive at the modern common era. So Shaka 1900, it means I mean the year, the common era of 1978. And in case of Samvata, when Vikrama Samvata is mentioned, you have to subtract 56 years to arrive at the common era year of the common era. So Samvat, that means we have seen here in this example, Samvat 1376 is equal to Samvat 1320 CE. Then this colophon also mentions the name of the scribe, Jalasuta Ranasimhena Atmanadhyayanartham. He has written that he has copied this for his own study, and the name of the scribe is Ranasimha. Sometimes these colophons are, I mean, they are so elaborate particularly in Jaina manuscripts, they give each and every detail about the author, about the scribe, patronage, etc., etc. So in this example, this particular colophon, it runs through, I mean, two pages, and you can see here the text is, I mean, uh, is completed, but then starts the colophon and the information about the scribe and about the patronage. So here there are almost names of 23 personalities or persons is found in this particular manuscript, and this is a genealogical tree of these people mentioned in this manuscript, and they have commissioned this manuscript. So names, I mean 23 names are there written in this particular colophon. And the year of this particular manuscript is 1559 Samvat, that means 1503 CE. So we have seen these typical parts of the typical manuscript. And in margins, sometimes we find additions or substitutions or corrections are also done, because these manuscripts are for, of course, reading, and the subsequent readers might want to add something or correct something from the manuscript. So we find in the margins corrections. Sometimes variant readings have been mentioned, because the scribe must be conversant with some another tradition of that particular text, so he wants to note down the particular patha bheda or variant reading of the from the text, or meanings or explanations or synonyms are found written in margins, like here, in between the lines, a gloss has been written. Meanings of the various difficult words have been written in between the lines. So, this particular manuscript is perhaps a Prakrit manuscript. Yeah. And the difficult words have been explained in small size in between the lines. So this is the picture of the entire folio from that manuscript. And you can see, I mean, the scribe must be very studious, or the subsequent reader, whoever. So, lastly, I must again repeat these lines which tell us about the manuscript heritage. It is our collective unconscious, and it is our past which has prolonged itself into the present. And so, we must preserve this manuscript treasure, otherwise, it will be a kind of national suicide. We must preserve this treasure, and we must preserve this heritage which contains our ancient literature. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amruta Madam. It was really wonderful to know from you these details of a very fascinating subject, but probably lesser known subject. And therefore, we must thank you. I thank you on behalf of Vivekananda Prabodhini and Vivekananda Kendra. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.